Hi everybody, welcome back to Steve's Garage. In today's video, I'm going to be unboxing, reviewing, and comparing this DeWalt Shop Vac, model DXV12P-QT, which uses their Stealthsonic technology for quieter operation, to my older Ridgid WD12701 model. I do understand that my model is no longer available and has been replaced by the HD1200. However, that model mainly focused on aesthetic changes because it's still a 12-gallon, 5-horsepower vacuum. For that reason, today's comparison will focus on the decibel level of each vacuum. If this is as quiet as they say, it's exactly what I need. I would love to have something just a little quieter if I'm running it in the garage or if I'm doing some work on the house and need to use it in there. So let's get started, let's get this thing opened up, see what's inside, and then get to comparing the two models. First things first, your instructions. This is a little storage bag. Pretty excited about this because maybe I can store my extra attachments in here instead of just like randomly around the garage. Brush head. Got some of the extensions. And looks like the vacuum. All right, so let's open this thing up, see the rest of the goodies. It does come with a filter attached, which is standard, but still nice to have. Your hose, which looks like a pretty standard length. This skinny detail piece here, I use this all the time, so nice to have that again. Casters. These two little blocks, which I'm assuming attached to the vacuum itself, and then the accessory bag probably slides into that. This square head here. A dust bag, which is pretty nice. I use these anytime I work inside the house. Inside this box is a little circular brush piece, so that's kind of cool. And lastly, some screws. I'm guessing those probably secure these mounting brackets and maybe the casters. First things first, we're going to install the casters. They just slide right in here and then you run the screw down. It's really nothing that complicated. I noticed that the casters are actually rubber instead of hard plastic. I don't really know how much of a difference that makes. I mean, maybe they get beat up more in the garage, but maybe if you're using it in the house, it's better for the floors. Just a difference I noticed while assembling it. All right, next we're gonna spin around back. 2 holes here, 2 holes here. That's for your tool bag, and that's where these little guys come in. So screw them here, here, and then that tool bag is gonna slide in there. So just make sure that the hole is pointing up, and then line it up on the outside and run them in. So it's the same thing on the other side, and then your little accessory bag just slides right in. The filter does come on the top part, but just in case anybody wants to know, I will go over how to install this. It's just a quarter turn on here, and then pull it off. There are instructions on the filter. This is an unlock position because it's off the vacuum. That's locked, unlocked, so no real guesswork here, but I wanted to show you anyway. When you're installing the filter that comes with the vacuum, all you've got to do is press it on and then lock it in. Now that it's assembled, I want to cover the different features and content of the vacuum. This is a shop vac. All shop vacs kind of have the same features, it's just how they execute them, so keep that in mind. It's nothing necessarily groundbreaking here, but this is how DeWalt does it on this vacuum. First things first, the giant power button. It's easy to see because it's contrast in color. It's big enough that you can hit it with gloves on, and I bet if you wanted to whack it with the end of the vacuum, that would work too. Next up, you've got a big handle that spans the width of the vacuum. It doubles as your cord wrap. You could put the cord in the back in the accessory bag, but if that's full of stuff, this is probably the better place for it. Next up is the hose. It's held to the vacuum with this little toggle here. It's just a piece of rubber. Let that go and you've got your hose. In keeping with the hose, this is how it connects to the vacuum itself. You're not gonna be able to pull it out because of this inner little tab here. So depress that and it comes right out. There's this ear here, so when you lock this on, it's not gonna spin. It's gonna stay right there and not move. Moving down the front of the vacuum, you've got a standard drain port here, just unthread it, and you can drain out any water that you've sucked up. Moving back up, you've got these latches here to undo the top portion of the vacuum from the tank itself. There's really nothing to it. You just grab them from the top, pull out, pull the lid off, do whatever you gotta do, put the lid back on, latch them shut, you're good to go. Next up is the accessory bag. It does come off if you don't want it. The only thing that's left over are these little ears. Just slide it back in if you do. The bag itself has little holes in the bottom, drainage or ventilation holes like that. Rest assured, this is plastic. It looks like it's metal, it's textured and kind of has this extruded look to it, but it's plastic. One additional detail about this bag is that these loops holding it to the ring are actually snaps. So you can disconnect this if you wanted to and then either be left with the ring or maybe put a bigger bag on, something like that. So as far as the accessory bag goes, all of your attachments will fit, though I would say that's with an asterisk. These smaller ones you can dump in. This thing, you kind of got to think about how you're putting it in. And you got to think about how those other things are in there. And then you're still left with the extension tubes. So these, you can kind of just shove them in here however you want and call it a day. Or you can empty it all out and organize it all. So now, with a little thought, you can fit everything. Chances are you're going to be using some of these, so maybe it's not a concern that everything doesn't quite fit, but you have to think about it to fit it all in there and not have it falling out as you're moving the vacuum. So now for the moment that you've probably fast forwarded to, me plugging it in and turning it on. It's the whole reason I'm making this video, right? I want to know how loud this thing is and if I'm going to go deaf using it. I have not plugged it in, I have not turned it on, I have no idea what I'm in store for, so let's do this. Wow, I think that might be as quiet as my home vacuum. Maybe quieter, I'm not really sure. Wow, I should test that. Off the cuff, maybe we'll test it against my house vacuum too, wow. That is quiet. That is really quiet. Okay, color me impressed. Let's use this thing. So I've got a small pile of this speedy dry stuff, you know, kitty litter for the garage, we can suck that up. I'm wearing a lav mic, just a simple lav mic on my chest, so what you're hearing from the vacuum is pretty much what I'm hearing. This thing honestly sounds like a shop vac that's clogged. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like there's something in the hose and I need to clear it out, or the filter's clogged or something like that. That's how quiet this thing is. So now that we've heard the vacuum in action, I want to measure the decibel level. Keep in mind that there's an entire science behind measuring how loud something is. I've just got a Pixel 6a on a phone stand with no external microphone or case, and I'm going to measure how loud the vacuum is. I'm more interested in knowing the difference between ambient sound and the vacuum running, and then this vacuum running compared to the Ridgid vacuum. So your ambient noise without me talking is about 30. You can see when I start talking it jumps up to about 60. Let's turn the vacuum on. So there you have it. The vacuum is about as loud as me talking into a microphone, with the phone right next to it. And now for the Ridgid. After taking those decibel readings, the DeWalt is clearly quieter than the Ridgid. Certain things like what length hose or what attachment you're using can affect the perceived volume when you're using it, but really I wanted to capture the sound and decibel level of the motor because that's the most obnoxious part about using a shop vac. If you're trying to decide between the DeWalt and the Ridgid or another major shop vac brand, it really comes down to what small feature they offer over their competitor. All the specs and the features are so similar that it really comes down to small things like the quiet operation of the DeWalt, exhaust port on the Ridgid. It really depends on how you're going to use the vacuum and what you want out of it. For how I use the shop vac, the DeWalt will serve me perfectly. If I'm doing a house project, I can use the bag to hold the tools instead of hanging them off my pants or carrying around an extra 5-gallon bucket. If I'm cleaning or detailing cars, the quiet operation is great in my garage, and the bag holds any kind of products or other tools and towels I need to clean the interior. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in purchasing the vacuum, check out my description. There's an Amazon affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and I earn a small commission. If you have any questions about what I covered during this video, leave a comment. I try to answer everybody. Thank you so much for watching.